It basically means to consider the source of the words. If they are the words of apostates, why would we believe them? Now think of it this way. You have a bottle on your shelf that's marked poison. Do you need to open it up, take a swig, to see if it really is poison? Believe what the label says. Now, for the purpose of this discussion, let's consider another way we can test out words. And that is to pay attention to what the words mean. Remember, we talked about media reports and how these are very often carefully worded to avoid a lawsuit. So suppose a report indicates that someone has been charged with a crime or that he's being investigated. All right, you have two words, charged and investigated. It doesn't mean he's guilty. Or suppose that someone is convicted and put in jail. Well, that would apply to our young brothers in Korea, wouldn't it? They were convicted and jailed. And what was their crime? They refused to kill someone. Did they do anything wrong?
No, that's not true.
Or someone is found guilty by men, as Jesus was. It doesn't mean that he's guilty in the sight of God. So, brothers, we really have to think about these things. We may read that a person or an organization was sued and then settled out of court. Does settling out of court mean that they were guilty?
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Now, in this
Quite
country
often,
and others,
yes.
Court cases are often handled by a jury. Now, who are on the jury? Ordinary citizens with no legal training.
Juries don't matter.
These ordinary citizens don't always have access to all the facts because the judge and lawyers decide which facts will be shared with the jury. So it's unlikely that the whole truth will ever come out in court. Actually, neither side probably wants the whole truth to come out in court. Now, sometimes attorneys deliberately withhold information that would be prejudicial to their clients. And in addition, the juries have prejudices like everyone else, and some of them just can't set their prejudices aside. I'll tell you an actual experience. Some time ago, a lawyer told me about a case he had. It was a case of medical malpractice by a doctor. There was a jury, and at trial, the doctor was clearly shown to be in the wrong, but the jury didn't give the patient a penny. The lawyer was confused, so after the trial, he approached two of the jurors and asked, "If you don't mind, tell me which part of the testimony you didn't believe." The jurors replied, "Oh, we didn't get that far. The doctor was cute, and we didn't want him to have to pay anything." With deep thinkers like that, no wonder many lawyers try to settle their cases rather than bring them to a jury. But someone will say, "No, I don't believe in settling out of court. I believe in justice and truth." So that brings up the question, is it wrong to settle a matter before it goes to trial? Or is it scriptural? Let's let Jesus answer that question. Turn to Matthew chapter 5,
Jesus
verses
Christ
25
Esquire.
and 26. Interesting that Jesus should mention this, with all the important things that Jesus taught. Matthew chapter 5, 25 and 26. Be quick to settle matters with your legal opponent while you are with him on the way there, so that somehow the opponent may not turn you over to the judge, and the judge to the court attendant, and you get thrown into prison. I say to you for a fact, you will certainly not come out of there until you have paid over your last small coin. Now, this is interesting. Think about the Mosaic Law. Was there any provision in the Mosaic Law to throw someone in jail if he couldn't pay a debt? That wasn't the way. If he couldn't pay, he'd have to work it off, or a family member would have to work it off. So when Jesus talks about prison and a judge, he's obviously referring to what a Gentile judge would do. And you couldn't necessarily expect justice from him. Why might he rule against our brother? Well, maybe he got paid under the table by the other party. Or maybe he was prejudiced against the race or the religion.
It has to
of
be
the other
bribery
party.
and corruption. It has to be.
Now notice,
No other
Jesus
explanation.
didn't say that the man should settle only if he was guilty.
Some progress.
Let's not be naive. Don't believe everything you read. Just because an article is called a news report doesn't make it true. And an editorial is someone's opinion, and that someone may be wrong. And TV producers may have their own agenda, prejudice, and viewpoint.